So I think a lot of people get this phase in their life when they're like lost, right? They don't really know where to go. They don't really know what to do. Maybe it's like passion related. Maybe they don't understand like what type of passions they want to chase, or they don't understand what kind of interests they want to pursue, or maybe they're just lost in life. They could be lost in relationships. Maybe they don't know what to do in their relationship. They don't know where to go. And I feel like if you think of it from like a super general scenario of you feeling lost, right? You don't like if let's say you're in a mountain, you're in a forest, or I don't know, you're somewhere in the wilderness, right? And you get lost. What do you keep doing? Well, you keep going. You keep going, and you keep looking for something. And I don't know why it's any different in life. I think a lot of people get lost, and they kind of fall into this pit of like fear. They're afraid to try this path or to try that path, and I think a lot of that fear comes from the idea that when we chase something else and we get off track or off the road we're on, that we're going to set ourselves back and lose progress. And I think a lot of that is just a fallacy. You can't be afraid to lose progress, especially when you're so fucking young. And some people are like, "Oh, I'm not young. I'm in my 20s." You're young. Well, I'm in my 30s. You're young. I'm in my 40s. You're young. You haven't even hit halftime yet. I mean, think about it. You could change your life in 5 years. So how many, let's say you live up to 100, you got 20 different 5-year attempts to go after. And I guarantee you'll probably you'll probably achieve the life you want within 10 of those. Shit, probably within 5. So give yourself 25 years of just fucking send it. You know what I mean? Send it, see what happens. You don't even have to do 5-year increments, because you'll know within 2 or 3 years whether or not you're on the right path, right? You start making progress, you start enjoying things, whatever. So first of all, time, I don't have enough of it. That's a fallacy. That's bullshit. You have time. You cannot be afraid of failure. And I think a lot of that stems back to the second point I wanted to make, which is so many people ride a broken machine for way too long. A lot of people try to force something to work out, especially in like relationships. They feel like they have to force this relationship to work. I'm not saying relationships aren't work. They are, and you have to know when to work on those, but you should be gauging the effort. If you know your relationship needs work and neither one in the relationship, or maybe just you or just them, is doing all of the work and someone's just not trying, I mean, you're just carrying weight. At that point, it's not even beneficial. You're just fucking drowning yourself into a relationship that's going to be toxic and slowly dying. It's a two-way road. So on that same spectrum, I know relationships aren't easy. They're not always easy, but that doesn't necessarily mean they need to be miserably fucking hard. A relationship should be challenging, right? And sometimes the challenge is easy and sometimes the challenge is difficult. But when it feels like the challenge has been impossible for a long time, it's time to go. It's time to leave. The same thing with life. So many people get lost on this career path, and it's like you just have to do shit. They're like, "Well, I don't know what I like." Well, you don't know what foods you like until you try them, right? You need to taste that shit. It's the same thing with life. You need to taste something. And sometimes you could be trying stuff and you're just broken and like nothing's working. I'm going to tell you what I do, okay? Anytime I feel lost in life and I don't really know where to go, maybe I've already tried stuff. I've already done a lot of different things, and I kind of get into this pit of I don't really want to do any specific or particular thing, but I do want to live a better life. I'm going to give you the best tip I've ever given anybody. Or I could really give anybody's. Anytime you're lost, I want you to pick one thing. And I'm so sick right now. I'm so sorry. But I try to divide life into 4 different pillars, right? And the first pillar is health. The second one is mindset. The third one is love, and then the last one is spirit or soul, right? And so I think if you can master your health and then master your mindset and then master love, then spirit just happens. So spirit is kind of the combination of all three. And that creates like 4 pillars of life. And I would put that on like a tier system, right? So at the base we have health, and then we have mindset, and then we find love, and then we get spirit. That's the feeling of like fulfillment, satisfaction, whatever. So a lot of people don't really know where to start. They don't really know where to go in life. And keep life, if you can just learn to break life down into these 4 pillars, then you kind of always have a direction of like where you want to go. So I always say health is first, right? Because if you had, like, this is your machine, this is your vessel, this is what you're living in. If this is shit, then you can't possibly find a way to build off of that. Like, there's no foundation, right? So it's like you're trying to build up this pyramid, right? And you can't just build from the top down. It doesn't work that way. It's going to crumble. It's going to fall. And you definitely can't skip steps. If you build a foundation out of fucking plywood, it's going to crumble. So you need a concrete foundation. So we start with health, and we build a concrete foundation in health. And once that is, cemented, we start building on that. And so then we start building the mindset, the mentality. This is where life starts to get proactive, and you focus on progress. This is where we finally, health is baseline. Health is baseline. And then we get up to mindset, and now we're starting to build up on our life. So when you can get your health in check and give yourself an operational baseline or the functionality to improve, then we start working on mindset, building positive habits, changing the way we think with certain maybe destructive behaviors. But once you get those 2 down, once you have your health down and you have your mindset down, and now you have a very solid human being. You are a concrete person. You've got your shit together, so to speak. And now we can focus on love and relationships, because to find the best, you need to be the best, right? So when we focus on health first, we give ourselves the baseline. Then we focus on mindset. Now we're being proactive. We're building a person, a character, we're building some direction for ourselves. And when we have that direction, we can start looking for love and relationships. And it becomes a lot easier, especially because a lot of people, you'll if you follow this rule, you'll avoid the mistake of finding somebody to fill a gap. You should never be looking for someone to fill a gap or to fill a void in your life. So that's why when we focus on health and mindset, when we concrete who we are as people and as individuals, then we can start looking towards a relationship. I think a lot of people are in relationships right now that they themselves have not figured out who they are, and their relationship is tanking because of it. I can tell you from personal experience, I've been in a relationship, a very, very happy relationship, but eventually we got to a point where we realized we weren't solid as people. We weren't solid within ourselves. There were things we had to figure out on our own. And so we ended the relationship, and it worked. It worked. It gave us the space and the freedom to discover new things as who we are as people. And, we never went into it with the idea of like, if we split, then we'll figure this out and come back together. Now, there are certain scenarios in which you develop in a relationship, right? You develop alongside your partner. But you will learn over time, is this something I can do inside the relationship, or is this something I really need to learn how to do alone? And it's very important to have that self-awareness. But, we still talk. And there are some times where if things were to work out, we might get back together again. I don't know. But it's never it's never like a concrete expectation, because I'm not getting my hopes up and whatnot. But it is nice seeing that regardless of what happens in the future, the fact that we were able to make that break and to realize there was a fault within who we are as individuals, it gave us the opportunity to become better people. And because of that, we will now experience better things in life. We will now experience more opportunities, more benefits, more positivity. And I, for one, am not going to be the person to like hold someone back. So, and that's kind of where that's where love is. We never stopped loving each other, but I loved her enough to know that us being together in this relationship, or where we are right now, is not helping where we are at life and what we need to learn. There were things I needed to learn on my own. There were things she needed to learn on her own. And that was it. But so many people get lost inside this fear of they don't really know what to do and they don't really know where to go. So what I would say to you is try to figure out where you are in this spectrum. Where are you in this pyramid? Do you have your health in check? And for 99% of people, its answer is probably going to be no. No, you don't. You don't have your health in check. And so you would start at health. How do you sleep? What do you eat? What do you drink? Are you drinking enough water? Do you exercise? Do you get sunlight every day? Do you take vitamins? Do you do all this stuff? Is your health baseline? And then start there. Pick one thing. Just keep it simple. It's, we're improving 1% every day, but keep it simple. So what I would do is if I ever felt lost, I would pick one thing to work on and to develop. And that's what I would work on. That's, whether it was exercising, it was eating right, drinking water, getting better sleep, whatever it was, I would pick one thing to work on. And now I feel like I'm in a point where for the most part, I would say 9 times out of 10, my health is pretty solid. Every now and then I might dip. If life gets super busy and I have to make certain sacrifices, that's fine. That happens. Sometimes we have to, exhaust ourselves and exert that energy. But for the most part, I have my foundation stabilized. So what I would do next is I would pick something to work on a mindset. And I always find a book to read. I think when working on our mindset, you should never just go off of experience. I think a lot of people are stubborn in the fact that they want to learn shit on their own. That's fucking stupid. If someone's already learned it, then just be taught. Okay? Be a student. Be a student of people. Do not be a student of your own life. You can. I'm not saying don't learn from your own life, but I would much rather just learn shit ahead of time and avoid it than get fucking slapped across the face because I didn't know any better. But I would find books to read. And a really good book that kind of hits both you mindset as well as business as well as relationships is How to Be a 3% Man by Corey Wayne. I talk about this book all the time. It is my favorite book of all time. I've read it at least 10 times now. But he talks about dating, relationships, courtship, marriage, saving a marriage, getting an ex back, when to break up, when to avoid dating, one night stands, how to be single, all these different things. He talks about literally everything. It is the 101 guide, to fucking anything in the world of love. It is a phenomenal book. But a cool thing about this book is it's a lot of who you are and building your own character and your own persona, your own human being. And so when I read that book, it really forced me to work on a lot of different things that I normally would not have thought of or I wouldn't have worked on. And then after that book, a really, really good one was The One Thing by Gary Keller. I've read it 3 times now. I'm going to try to get to 5 or 6. But he talks about how to organize your life and how to find the biggest thing to prioritize. And it really helped me kind of settle my life and build some sort of system or foundation. And I'm still in a developing process right now. I will admit that. I'm definitely not as organized as I should be to probably reach the next level of life. And that's understandable. I know that. And that's, I'm working towards that every single week. It's one of those things where I spent 30 minutes fucking scrolling through my phone before starting this podcast because I just didn't have the motivation to do it. But once I'm in it, man, once I'm here, I get into it. My brain starts turning. I feel good. I feel alive. I feel like I'm accomplishing shit. I feel great. And I have to just, I'm going to keep breaking down that feeling. Every time I get the feeling of I don't want to do it, I'm going to keep telling myself to just fight it, just get started, show up. And over time, that feeling will start to go away, and eventually this will become pattern. If my nose is running on camera, I'm so fucking sorry. But that was another thing, is The One Thing by Gary Keller. Helped me build up my mindset. And I mean, I've got all kinds of books. I think those 2 are definitely my favorites. Another one I really liked was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That's a great one. But I start reading these books and it gives me a lot of different perspectives and a lot of different thoughts. And sort of this mindset, this developing who I am is kind of what I focus on right now. And I kind of have this mentality of this is the cool thing. This is the cool thing about this is when you focus on your health and you focus on your mindset, you'll know you're at a good spot when relationships kind of start to happen, or dating starts to just happen. When you surround yourself in the right kind of world and the right kind of environment, these things kind of just happen. I always tell people you shouldn't necessarily chase for something. You can be open to it, and you don't necessarily have to play defense, but you shouldn't necessarily be playing a very ambitious offense. You shouldn't be looking for a relationship for the sake of having one. Because that's a dead giveaway that you're there trying to fill a hole. You're trying to fill a void. So if you're someone who's lost, I'm going to kind of give you two scenarios here. We're going to say one, you're lost due to life, passion, whatever you want to do. And then you can be lost into a relationship, right? So off the first one, lost in passion. Again, same thing as this like pyramid. What do I want to work on? And then you pick, your health, your mindset, and then maybe a relationship. For most people, it's going to be health. For 90% of people, you're going to be starting, step one, health. So what I would say is start doing some research. Find a gym and, pick YouTube, some random workout routine, whatever it is. And do something you might enjoy. And it sucks at first. Everything new always sucks at first, especially when you don't know what you're doing. So I want you to set like a vision for yourself of like the kind of person you would want to become, maybe what you want to look like, what you want to feel like. Do you want energy to do this, to do that, whatever. But whatever you do or whatever you pick, whether that's lifting, cardio, CrossFit, HIIT routines, fucking basketball, rock climbing, whatever it might be, do it for 7 days. Try to go 7 days straight, if at all possible. Go 7 days straight. Try to go in a row. And the reason I say that is because people who go like 2 to 3 times a week, it is so much harder to instill this habit, and you battle this all the time. That's kind of a big reason why content creation, all this stuff is super hard for me to get in a rhythm of doing, is because I genuinely only have time, because I need like 4 hours undisturbed. I really only have time to do this on the weekends. I don't have time to do this like on my work days and whatnot, but I do have time to go to the gym for like an hour every single day. I have to, and I make that a priority. I will block out everything else to make sure I go to the gym, because without the gym, I'm fucking shit as a human being. I can't think, I can't process, I can't do anything, so I start going to the gym. I go to the gym, and that like wakes me up, and I fell in love with the routine. I do push-pull legs. And it doesn't really matter what day it is. It's not like Monday's chest day. I just do push-pull legs, and I keep the rotation going. Some days I can't make it to the gym, but that doesn't bother me anymore because I know I will get back the next day. I never have a single doubt in my mind that I can't get back to the gym, because it's something I enjoy doing and I want to do it. And usually if I can't go to the gym, I'm kind of sad about it. But I will go to the gym. I do push-pull legs. I have a routine that lasts me maybe 45 minutes to an hour long. I see progress. I will like meal prep chicken and rice. I drink a lot of water. I take a couple different supplements, but it's super easy. Like none of it is really difficult for me. It doesn't consume a whole lot of time, the food or the exercise, and it's something that baselines me. And because I'm going to the gym, I'm developing the kind of person that has more energy to do more things. I feel better 90% of the time. So the idea that the gym's going to take away from whatever you already have going on is complete bullshit. And if anything, the gym helps me do everything else better and more effectively. Literally everything. Work, thinking, chores, planning, preparation, like everything. Fucking sex. I'm able to do everything better because of exercise and dieting and just not eating complete shit. So it's a really, 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 really good thing to start there and sort of get that baseline. And you'll know when you get that baseline, because you start to feel better and you start to feel like, holy shit, this is magical almost in a sense. You feel great, especially when you start seeing progress, when other people start noticing progress. I perform better for my personal work. I perform better for work. I'm just a better person overall. I'm able to learn a lot more. I'm a lot more motivated. I have a lot more energy. I feel great. And then once you get to that point, then you can work on mindset, and start working on different habits and stuff like that. So whenever you're feeling lost as an individual, I want you to ask yourself, how can I just make myself a better person? Because the person you are will decide what opportunities you get, right? You pick a road, and that road has predetermined doors, and the predetermined doors are the ones you're going to get. So you pick a good road, you're going to get good opportunities. You're going to get a good life. So start there. Who am I? What kind of person can I become to get the life I want to have? Now, if you're in a relationship and you're lost in your relationship and you don't really know if it's going to work out or if it's not going to work out, I want you to sit down with your partner and have a genuine conversation. First of all, I've always had this rule in my entire life, any relationship I've ever had, that you always solve problems a day of. Never go to bed. Never go to bed on a problem. Never, quote unquote, sleep on it. Because one, if I'm working tomorrow morning, we don't have time to talk in the morning. If you're working tomorrow morning, we just don't have time to talk about it. And I don't deserve to live tomorrow under the anxiety of what might happen from this conversation or what's going on or where the problem lies. You don't deserve to go to work tomorrow worried about the bullshit, right? So we all always solve it the night before. But I want you to have a conversation with your partner and come from a place of genuine honesty. And I'm going to tell you right now, right now, that if you come from a place of genuine honesty and you say, hey, look, I love you and I love our relationship, but I want to tell you how I am feeling to see if there's a way we can kind of get through this. If they get defensive, massive fucking red flag. I'm telling you that right now, and most of them will be. And a lot of you don't bring up these conversations because you know they're not going to be able to take it. But if it is you and them versus the problem. So if they take what you say and they immediately put you versus them, that is a mindset that either needs to change or that relationship is never going to be healthy. It's never going to be happy. You need to be able to have difficult conversations while keeping the mentality of it's you versus me, or it's you and me versus the problem, not you versus me. But sit down, have a genuine conversation with them. If they take it the wrong way, I would tell you to remind them that, hey, I don't want this to come off the wrong way. It's you and me versus the problem, but these are things I need to talk about it, because if I don't talk about it, I don't want to risk some sort of explosion or dramatic fucking outbreak, right? And they need to understand that, because nobody's fucking perfect. Nobody has a limitless meter of shit they can put up with, right? So you have this conversation. Now, if they still don't take it after that, get the fuck out. Just do yourself a favor and be like, all right, you know what? If we can have these kinds of conversations, I don't see us being able to, hold a marriage or go through difficult times together. And if we can't go through difficult times, which are guaranteed to happen at one point or another, then I don't think it's going to work out. You fucking go your separate ways. Now, let's say they do take it. They go, okay, yeah, I would love to talk. Sit down and have a genuine conversation about what you are feeling. But keep in mind that if you haven't worked on your health and you haven't worked on your mindset and you open up a fucking can of problems, there's a very good chance that your problems are actually your fucking fault, because you haven't fixed the way you think about certain things. A lot of the majority of problems in relationships, especially young relationships, stem from fucking insecurity. So if there is a problem that you have that stems from insecurity, depending on what that problem might be, you know what I mean, then you need to be careful with how you word that, because if you share similar insecurities with your partner, then you guys will likely agree on stuff and it works out anyways. Now, if you don't share insecurities, then it could be a very bad thing. Like, for example, if like me, as someone who, does a lot of exercise and is really into fitness, I post shirtless pics on social media. That's what I do. Now, if I were to date someone that was insecure or that bothered her, I'd be like, I'm sorry, this is what I do, and I know this makes you feel uncomfortable, but I've been doing this before you. There's never been ill intent behind it. And for me, it goes directly under my purpose and what I'm trying to do, which is, motivate and encourage people. So that was something that it was like, I can't help you there. It's also this mentality of, I was talking about this the other day, but what you fear will happen will happen. because you feared it. And what I mean by that is if you are afraid that somebody is better than you, let's say you're dating someone, right? Let's say you're you're a dude and you're afraid that there's another guy out there that is better for you and will beat you and steal your girl. If you're afraid of that happening, you are going to act like that guy that is afraid of that happening. And if you start acting like that, eventually your partner will have no choice but to agree with you. And if she starts to think there is someone better for her, she has no reason to stay. Okay? Same thing, vice versa. If you're a girl and you are afraid that there is a girl out there that is better than you for your man, whatever it is, and you let that fear bleed into who you are as a person, you are going to act like the girl that is not good enough. And if you are not good enough, he has no reason to stay. Right? Keep that in mind. But have a genuine conversation with this person and talk about it. Talk about things that bother you, things that bother them, what you'd like to do with each other. And keep in mind, if you can maintain this perspective that it's you and me versus the problem, at the end of the day, we just want to be better people. We just want to be better people, because to be good for ourselves is to be good for others. And you need to be okay with this conversation ending in a breakup. That's not the goal. I'm not saying, it's the goal to end this conversation in a breakup, but you need to be okay with that. And a lot of that, there's a plethora of reasons for that. I don't have a whole lot of time to talk about it in this episode. But a lot of that is like with kids. It'd be better for kids to grow up in a happily divorced environment than a toxic marriage environment, because you want to teach your kids how to love properly. And that's really what the whole conversation is going to be about, which is talking to each other and explaining how you want to be loved and how you want to love someone else. And when you can sit down and have this conversation, sit down and say like, hey, I want to talk because I feel like something might be off, or maybe the relationship's just not at the standard I'd like it to be. I just want to talk and touch base with you, see where you're at, where I'm at, and try to, help each other out. But tell them, be like, hey, I just want to have a conversation about how I feel like I want to love you, and how I feel like I want to be loved. And I just want to talk it out, see what's going on, and work through it. And I want to work through it with you, if that's possible, and if you're okay with that. And, if they're reasonable, then they understand this is a conversation that needs to happen sometimes. And honestly, you should be having conversations like this even if you're in a healthy relationship. Have a fucking weekly review, Even if you're happy as can be, sit down with your partner and just be like, hey, how did you feel about this week in our relationship? How did you feel like I did? Have that conversation. It's okay to have that, open communication. And it also opens the door for a place to outlet if anything were to happen. It doesn't feel like a scary or unknown place, because whether or not the relationship is good or bad, you're going to talk about it anyways. So you're a little more free to do so. But anyways, that's all the time I have for this episode. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. As I always say, I don't know if this is for me or for you, but I hope it helped someone. So I'll talk to y'all in the next episode. I love you all. Deuces.